I think the way that music differs from the written word is emotion. You know, it's like real-time emotion. You write a book, and if there's emotion in the sentence, your fingers are crossed that will appear in the reader's brain. And it doesn't always. Everybody reads the same book, but actually they don't. Everybody reads a different book. With music, you're a lot more sure of what they're getting. There's none of that limbo thing where you hope they're going to get what you intend. So all writers, we're all totally frustrated musicians.
Please put your hands together for Lee Child.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have had a lot of fun in my life, believe me. But this particular project is the most fun that I've ever had. So please welcome to the stage, Naked Blue.
Thank you.
You know, I love what I do, absolutely, but when you've done it 20 plus times, you become open to doing different and new things.
I don't like rules, but I got a few. Mess with me, I'll mess with you.
Right from the first book, it's always been clear that Reacher loves music. You can hear it in his head. So if Jack Reacher could sing, this is what he would sing.
It's at the heart of me, I hate the big man. It's just a part of me, I hate the big man.
Meeting Naked Blue was a coincidence so extreme that if I put it in a book, readers would just say, nah, that could never happen. More than 20 years ago, I bought a CD. It was a tribute CD to a particular songwriter guitarist that I really loved. There was one track in particular. The band was called Naked Blue. I had never heard of them, but I just loved the track. A few years later, I got an email from a married couple in Baltimore saying they really liked my books. So I replied and I said, thank you very much. And they said, well, actually, we're a band called Naked Blue.
I was always there when I was a kid. I saw Ricky Lee Jones debut on Saturday Night Live, and she did Danny's All-Star Joint and Chucky's in Love. And that really blew my mind. I thought, wow, I'd really like to be that.
The two of us.
Yeah.
We met in a guitar store in Baltimore, Maryland.
I was in a band playing electric guitar. Scott immediately talked to me like a guitar player instead of a chick.
And hey, it worked. We both read a lot, and I stumbled upon Lee early on, and I just was immediately hooked. And sometimes we get two, we might go to the library and get 2 copies.
So we wouldn't have to wait.
And they wrote and said, well, we're playing a gig in the Village. And I thought, how cool this is. You know, I'm hanging out with musicians. It was great.
We were thinking, oh my God, he's in the audience. He's there.
We got to talking about music, and Lee said, why don't we write a song together?
Yeah. Right.
And we threatened this for 20 years. Or
Yeah, right. Hello. Okay, great. Yeah, send them up. Thanks.
Hey, we're here.
Finally.
I know.
Hey.
We asked Lee, well, what do you want to write about? And he said, let's write about Reacher. And we were like, sure? That was terrifying.
Was that my idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think first you pulled out a poem you wrote in college.
High school, probably, yeah.
Or yeah.
Good poem, but it didn't really fit the album.
And then you said, let's write about Reacher.
Yeah. I was always nervous about it because nobody sees your first attempt in book writing. If you start a book and the first sentence just doesn't quite work, nobody will ever know that. Whereas writing spontaneously amongst the three of us, they did see the bad first lines or the failed attempts. I felt I was probably trespassing on their expertise. I mean, they really are great musicians and great songwriters. And I'm not necessarily. But we just kind of pushed it to the side and said, let's pretend we don't feel like that, let's just relate. So I've listened to their music for 20 years, they've read my books for 20 years. We actually knew each other a lot better than we thought we did.
I've kind of dubbed this project the Yes Project. We would play a little thing and he would write some words down and we'd put them together and it was like, well, yeah, wow, okay, next.
So actually it was incredibly smooth, incredibly productive. Within minutes we were sitting around in a triangle writing.
I was born alone, I have lived alone, I will die alone, I was strong.
I think we started with the song that is now called Alone. It used to be called Die Alone. Because that was a perfect example, you know, what is the core of his being? And it is, I was born alone, I have lived alone, I will die alone. We called it Die Alone, but then Scott got kind of an attack of good taste, and he thought we shouldn't have die in the title, so it's just called Alone now.
And he said, you sound like my publisher.
Yeah, right.
I have lived alone, I was born alone. Lived alone, I would die alone, alone.
The worst thing about working with Lee is the food.
There is sometimes food in the house, but very rarely. There was an old can of Pepsi in there, and there was some kind of sandwich that became kind of mummified. And so there was food in there for a while, and I just got rid of it. I always noticed that if I'm very hungry, starving, my brain is really fired up. That's fuller than it's ever been.
Look, we should take a picture of this.
Awesome, all right. So I'm here because I do the vocal on the next track, which is a treat in store. And Scott and I thought, how do we represent the sound at the inside of Jack Reacher's head? This is how we figured it. Reacher said,
Because that iconic line that Reacher always says, Reacher said nothing. And it's like, we're gonna do a little instrumental. It's gonna be called Reacher Said Nothing. So we just went down and wrote it and played it and sent it to Liam. Like, what do you think? That's great.
It's very atmospheric, and there's a calm bass track with a crazy screeching guitar that comes in bits and pieces. And Scott was thinking it's his calm exterior, and the guitar is what's actually going on in his head.
My favorite thing was I would try to explain what I wanted. And then a couple of weeks later, I'd get an email from Scott, and there'd be a file attached. What do you think of this? So I'd click on it, and there it was, exactly what I had wanted. I was unable to express it. He interpreted it, and my reaction was, yeah, that's what I should have wanted all along. This is why this has worked, because these guys have read the books to the extent that they truly understand the character. And Reacher is, for all that he appears to be this hugely competent person, he is inside very lonely and very needy of just occasionally being able to not be the competent guy.
3, 4.
I say run with me, come and be free.
In order to really bring out the tenderness in Reacher, it had to be the woman's voice. We had to have Jen do it.
Say get on the bus, make you and me us. You say
Really, that is irresistible as a kind of triangulation. The meaning is hyper-masculine, the voice is hyper-feminine, and therefore you sort of divorce the emotion of the song from gender. You know, it just is what it is.
I say I gotta go. You say yes I know.
Being the voice of Jack Reacher, some of that has just been putting myself in his headspace, imagining that I'm in that place when I'm tracking the vocal, the technicality of where that attitude comes from, like landing hard on a consonant or forging through to the end of a note without letting up for a second until that note's
You
done.
got things to do. You're not ready for something new.
There's this impression that the high note is the exciting part of a song, but you know, it's a male character, and it's not so much about where that note is on the register as where it is in the scale, wherever you are. So I'm tending to write and sing in a place that's more comfortable in my range, and it feels good bringing it down a little bit.
I say think about it. You say you can live without it. I say I gotta go. You say yes I know.
Fabulous, really good.
Yes I know.
We thought it might be cool to have Scott singing on the chorus of Canvas. We haven't had any male vocal, but have a feminine and masculine voice on that.
I think that's only fair because Scott wrote those lines.
Yeah. The best co-writers remember what everybody did.
Exactly. I think, damn it, I didn't do that.
I know.
You know, when we started doing this thing together, I got more engaged in your social media, and there's not a single post without somebody, some troll jumping in and saying, Tom Cruise is only 5'7". So our original idea when we talked about doing this was not that we would perform the songs, but that we would write the songs, and that you could take them to your favorite artists, and we would help project manage the thing. And so, like day 2, you said, "Well, I want you to sing it." And my first thought was, Tom Cruise, and oh, now there's a girl singing Jack Reacher.
Well, I did take it of my favorite artists. That was, yeah. That was the whole point. And yeah, so now we got a girl singing Reacher.
Close the door. Turn around. Let me ease your teardrop zipper down.
And Sanctuary, it started with the teardrop zipper. There was a scene in Night School where basically actually Reacher is being seduced by the woman, and she's got this little tiny teardrop thing on the back of the zipper on her dress, and it was so beautifully tactile, the
And
teardrop
I love
zipper.
that, yeah.
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 Will you be my sanctuary, my harbor in this wild and bitter sea? You always need me strong. Now will you let me be weak?
A lot of the other songs of Reach are doing Reach the things which are in control, and this song is not in control.
We just see him kicking ass all the time, so so it was nice to get that, oh, okay, like Richard's a lonely guy sometimes.
That's the permanent conflict in him. He loves solitude, but worries about being lonely. And I think 88 Steps is much more about the positive side of it. You know, today is a better day. The next place, I'll be able to go through the front door instead of having to escape out the back door.
Finally out in the open, straight road ahead of me. I trace a ribbon through these fields of gold. I left bad things behind me.
You were just writing the new book, past tense, and he had written a line about Reacher gets 88 steps in a minute as he's walking, because he walks everywhere. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, we got to seize on that, and just that whole idea of this guy's just walking across the country most of the time.
And his favorite pace is 88 steps a minute.
Yeah, which happens to be the tempo of a lot of great songs. And Reacher, being a nerd, essentially knows that. So he's playing them in his head as he walks.
88 steps a minute as I'm walking down the miles. There's money in my pocket, and the sun will be out a while. I'm in the right place at the right time, at the right time. For once in a lifetime.
You know, the scene is he's leaving town, he's done his business, and he has this fresh day where he's just back in his natural state on the road, and there's this, you know, the calm after the storm kind of a feel.
For once at the right time, once in a lifetime. And it says he's leaving bad things behind, so there's been some kind of a thing wherever he was, but full of optimism, he thinks the next destination will be better.
There's so much to the character, and when we came in to this, we write a story in 3 minutes, and you write a story in, how many words?
100,000.
100,000 words. So we're like, whoa, how's this going to work out?
Yeah, it'd be a very long album. Longer than Beethoven's Ninth.
There's so few words in a song, every single one has got to earn its place without sounding like it is earning its place. One of my all-time favorite pieces of writing is Johnny Be Good, a log cabin made of earth and wood. A log cabin is made out of wood, well, duh. So it's a very compact song with throwaway lines in it, which is a fantastic illusion.
So the next number came out of a book called The Affair. And I love this number because it completely validates that scene that I wrote in the book, which was, in my opinion, totally unfairly entered for a literary award in Britain called the Bad Sex Award.
So in the scene, she's holding off on consummating the deal until the freight train shakes the room.
I remember writing that, and I'd put in the train just for local color or something beforehand. I'd gone 2-3 years without Reacher getting laid in the books. So I thought, God, I've got to do this, but it's going to be awful. Then I remembered the train. I thought, yes. So that scene is basically, you know, they head up to her room and she keeps on saying it, wait, wait. And he's like, wow, what's going on? And then the train rolls through and the entire room shakes and the bed hops across the floor and the glass falls off the shelf in the bathroom and all this kind of stuff. And it's the most shuddering experience. And then he understands why he had to wait.
It's like that old Hollywood thing, the scene cuts to the train.
The train going in the tunnel.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, you wanna stay?
Show me where it goes to change the chords.
So if you right come there, you fall.
She said we should take it slow.
Back.
Wait
Yep.
till we hear the whistle blow.
Changes a little bit, so
Tonic.
yeah.
How's that?
That's great.
And we did it long.
Did you write these lyrics?
She was strong.
My goodness.
Wait, she said,
A
slow
4?
down.
Yeah, on this one. The next verse is all stays on.
Engine blow through town.
Okay. Okay.
You like the lyrics?
Yeah, they're nasty.
So there's probably more sex on this 40-minute album than there is in a whole Jack Reacher book.
Jack Reacher doesn't get laid that often, so.
Well, this is his chance. He hooked up with the right band.
Later she said, you wanna stay? I was beat, I said okay. She said, babe, go take a shower. 'Cause the train comes back in half an hour. Was it uncomfortable? Like, what's your comfort level with writing sex scenes?
I hate writing sex scenes. I mean, it is the most ludicrous thing you can do. The problem is that there's just no way of doing it that hits the spot because different readers want a different level of engagement. And so some of them you're boring and some of them they're thinking, this is revolting. So
Just like real life.
yeah, well, exactly. I was going to say, they tell you, write what you know. And I've been married for a very long time. So basically, I'm just making this shit up.
All right, so I think this is kind of the Jack Reacher theme song, this last tune.
It really is, yeah. And, it's the title track of the CD, and I just put it in next year's book as well, just as a phrase, just for, because it was on my mind. I was listening to the CD, and I thought I'd just put it in.
I remember this might have been the first one. You were quiet for maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you just said, here's what I've got. It's like, oh, yeah.
I think you said he owns nothing. And so I was like, okay, and just took it from there.
Don't want a house, don't want a yard, don't want to hang around a neighborhood bar. I found out the hard way, but I learned what's true. You don't own things, they own you.
Working with Lee, one of the best things is to be able to discuss songwriting with somebody that is as laid back as we are.
You know, through this process, we have become friends, and regardless of everything else, the doing of it was what counts.
Don't want a porch, don't want a yard, I don't want a phone or a credit card. I found out the hard way, but now I know. Sometimes you just gotta go. Just the clothes on my back and a knife in my pocket. And up your road laid out 100 miles ahead.
The relative prominence of the Jack Reacher books has meant that I meet all kinds of people and I get all kinds of fascinating opportunities. And this is one of them. It's a dream come true in a lot of ways.
Just a clothes on my back and a knife in my pocket.
I think we got something here.
Works for me.
Just the clothes on my back and a gun in my pocket. An open road laid out 100 miles, 100 miles. I found out the hard way, but it's a fact. Gotta keep moving, never go back. I found out the hard way, but now it's certain. Sometimes you gotta lay down the burden, just the clothes on my back. And nothing in my pocket, just the clothes on my back. And nothing in my pocket, just the clothes. An open road laid out 1,000 miles ahead. Don't want a house, don't want a car, don't want to hang around a neighborhood bar. I found out the hard way, but I learned what's true. You don't own things, they own you.
So where you headed?
About 100 miles down the road.
Just the clothes on my back and what fits in my pocket. Open road laid out 100 miles ahead. Don't want a porch, don't want a yard. I don't want a phone or a credit card. I found out the hard way, but now I know. Sometimes you just gotta go. Just the clothes on my back and a knife in my pocket. Open road laid out 100 miles ahead. Taxes. I don't want email and I don't take faxes. Took me some time, but I got it straight. Sometimes it's better not to wait.